Hello, my name is Matthew Boedy. I'm the author of The Seven Mountains Mandate, Exposing the Dangerous Plan to Christianize America and Destroy Democracy. In this video, I want to talk about the mountain of business. In the 50-year history of the Seven Mountains Mandate, its reclaiming of the mountain of business has singularly focused on two things. One, creating God's economy through capitalism, and two, creating God's economy through what they call a transfer of wealth. These two things are very similar, capitalism being the operation of free markets and less government regulation, but the transfer of wealth that comes from a religious foundation is the idea that God would take wealth away from evil people and give it to the good people to use for the expansion of God's kingdom. This transfer of wealth has been described in different ways in terms of a supernatural event, but also directed and linked to the free markets of capitalism. That is, Christians would win the free market and then generate or create wealth to expand God's kingdom. These two ideas in the Seven Mountains Mandate are the foundation for what they think America should be. That is, God's economy should be the foundation for America's economy. One of the key figures in the Seven Mountains Mandate and its retaking of the mountain of business is a man named Peter Wagner. He was a Fuller Seminary professor who specialized in church growth and often researched how churches would grow. But as he expanded into the Seven Mountains Mandate, he came up with a term to call businessmen marketplace apostles. So it has two links to it. One, the idea of apostles, that they have visions and ideas for the church and expanding God's kingdom. And two, that they work in the marketplace and not in the church, that there's not religious offices. And he convinced businessmen who had lots of money that they could be marketplace apostles, that they could expand God's kingdom by both giving their money to Peter Wagner, but also expanding God's kingdom by using their money in the different cultural institutions in the Seven Mountains. Marketplace apostles would expand God's kingdom through the idea of capitalism and free markets, but also this transfer of wealth. But Peter Wagner was not just interested in the people who are already rich. He was interested in training people who wanted to be rich. He was interested in promoting a kind of religious entrepreneurship that is unleashing or excising, erasing the spirit of poverty that he saw in Christians. The spirit of poverty was something that he himself overcame. That is, the idea that Christians should be poor, or Christians should not be rich, or Christians should not generate wealth. And this spirit of poverty was what kept many people from becoming marketplace apostles. Marketplace apostles were the rich people that Peter Wagner wanted to use to expand the Seven Mountains Mandate. I think there are two important questions you should consider when thinking about the mountain of business. One, if indeed Peter Wagner's idea of the marketplace apostles, if that succeeds, if indeed we have created a religious oligarchy in our nation, one, how would that impact the church? What role would these people play in the church, both broadly and in a local congregation? How would the role of money and power change the church? But secondly, if indeed there's a religious oligarchy that would succeed when the Seven Mountains Mandate succeeds, how would this affect our public institutions? How would a largely group of largely rich people affect our public institutions? Would they run those institutions off to the side? Would they allow those institutions to affect the whole public and not just individual groups? These are two important questions, the mountain of business, that you should consider.